So vultures are particularly important in India because Hinduism prohibits the slaughter and consumption of cows. So all the cows in India will die out in the open because they can't be brought to, a place of slaughter. It's like, it's not controlled. So basically in India, what they rely on the vultures to actually descend and take care of the cow carcasses before they start to rot and stink and spread disease and all that.
Do they have to move them to a certain area or something? Or they just leave them where they are?
They leave them where they are, and the vultures actually get to it within a day or two.
Oh, really?
And then they move the skeleton.
Okay.
It was interesting too, because I was reading all these facts about India and cattle and everything, and what didn't agree with Hinduism prohibiting the slaughter is that India is the world's 5th largest beef producer.
What?
Right. I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. I was I was talking to my girlfriend about my answer about how India has all these cattle and they are the 5th largest producer. And wait, they can't kill them. How do they sell them if the vultures are eating them? It turns out India has a whole lot of cows for milk and for raising and all that. But the water buffalo they can kill water buffalo. And their whole beef industry is water buffalo based.
Interesting.
That's an interesting distinction. Yeah.
So that's a fun fact. But getting back to birds, the vultures, they're having a problem over there right now. So one of the antibiotics they give to the cows is something called diclofenac. And what happens is this diclofenac is actually poisonous to vultures. So starting in 1992 when they started using it up till, the data I have is till 2008 was where I had the numbers, the population of vultures declined over 99% in India. So the mechanism of this diclofenac was presumed to be renal failure, or the toxicity may be due to direct inhibition of uric acid secretion, both of which I did not decide to do any more research on and left there as just one sentence in my notes.
Thanks for saving that.
I've learned it's important to save my sanity in some cases. So India does not have these vultures to take care of their cows. And now it's becoming a problem because there are still all these carcasses around. So there are other animals that are coming to fill in the gaps, namely wild dogs. So since the vultures started dying out, the population of wild dogs in India has grown to 18 million, the largest population of carnivores in the world.
Whoa.
Which also, a funny side effect, if that's not already bad enough having all these wild dogs around, it has also led to an increase in leopard attacks because the leopards will invade inhabited areas to follow the wild dogs, which results in the leopards fighting humans. So lots of extra wild dogs and then extra leopards just to top it off.
Bonus leopards.
Bonus leopards.
But the leopards aren't the real problem. It is actually the dogs. Because the problem is all these cow carcasses are vectors for diseases such as Ebola, rabies, plague, anthrax.
Yeah, none of that is good.
Nope. So it's not good, but it's okay for vultures because the pH of a vulture's stomach acid can get as low as 1, which is the absolute bottom of the pH scale. So they can swallow all this stuff. It kills all the diseases. They can dissolve bones and things in their nasty, nasty guts.
Is 1 basic or acidic?
Acidic. So I'm not quite sure what kind of stomach line they have to survive having a pH of 1 in their body at all, but they have it. So now all these 18 million wild dogs are eating all these carcasses, and the wild dog digestive systems are not so aggressive against diseases, and they will carry the Ebola, plague, anthrax, and rabies, but rabies being the main one. So the rise in dog numbers has resulted between 1992 and 2006, so over 14 years, and it's getting worse, so the numbers are going to be even higher now. It resulted in a total of an additional 40 million dog bites on people, which meant that someone is getting bitten by a wild dog in India every 11.1 seconds. And again, if that wasn't bad enough, those dogs have rabies. They have rabies, and has resulted in casualties of almost 30,000 people a year due to rabies.
Wow.
So it is a legitimate problem, and if there are no birds, it's going to be, they basically have no vultures now anyway, so it's a problem, of which I have come up with a solution. So how do we get rid of all these cows without being able to, kill them where we want and having them let them die in the open? My plan is called Cows on Some Grass on a Big Hill by the Sea.
It's a good name. Solid name there.
Descriptive.
So I couldn't find the exact coefficient of friction between grass and cows.
Did you actually try searching that?
I did. I looked at a lot of lists of coefficient of frictions, but the closest I got is grass on tire, which I took as a conservative number because I think tires are going to, be more frictious than cows. So, based on the cow's average weight of 1,600 pounds, you would need a slope of 20 degrees for a cow to slide down. So, my first question was, can cows be on the slope? Will they even deal with it? Will they fall over? Because I feel like they're top heavy. So, thanks to Walter Mugler's paper, The Cattle Distribution on Steep Slopes, where he just saw how often cows went up hills on their own. A 20-degree slope is no problem for a cow. So you can have a 20-degree slope, and you can put a cow on it, and then when the cow dies, it'll fall over, and if it's on a hill, it'll slide down the hill. And if that hill is next to the sea, it'll slide into the sea and be taken care of before the wild dogs can get to it.
And be taken care of. Perfect.
Yeah, are these sea cows going to be a problem in the future?
The sea cows, I think they're going to be a bonus to the ocean. So here's the thing. I'll get there. So how much slope ground do we need? And do we even have enough to house all the cows in India? So the amount of cows in India, there's 190 million of them, including 5 million just wild cows that just nobody owns. They're just wandering around, but nobody can do anything to them. So they just kind of wander aimlessly around. So for those 190 million cows, India only has 4,600 miles of coastline, which means you need to have 40,676 cows per mile of coastline. So I was doing some research on how much space a cow needs. And so I was looking if you could just have them freely graze. And so a grazing cow needs 1.8 acres of grassland in order to be fed and happy. So that's 0.00228 square miles. So if you do the math out, basically the area you need to reserve for cows extending back from the coastline is 115 miles.
What?
What?
This would cover roughly 50% of the land area of India. Also, if you do a 20-degree slope for 115 miles, you're already 2/3 of the way to space. So this obviously was not working. So what you do is if you feed the cows, you can do what they call dry lotting, in which case, instead of 1.8 acres, you only need about 600 square feet for a happy cow. So they can see other cows, they have enough space to lie down and be comfortable and socialize and all the things that they do. So now for dry lighting the cows, now you only need to cut back 1.4 miles from the coastline, which is entirely doable. So now that we've got our 1.4 miles of slope set up all around India, let's see if our system works. So let's say at the top of the hill, a cow dies and it starts to slide. This cow will start to accelerate at 0.42 feet per second squared, which is not a lot. To travel the entire 1.4 miles to the sea, it'll take roughly 187.6 seconds. And at that point, the cow will be going 78 miles an hour. Which, okay, that sounds pretty high, I admit. So this is based on very basic, just friction equations. Now, normally what you have to do is at those speeds, you have to start factoring in drag force on the cow, which I tried to calculate, but then realized right prior to this recording, I disastrously messed up my calculations thanks to units. But the spherical cows is actually a running joke in physics, where you have some kind of normal day situation where you're like, okay, so you have a cow and he's doing X, Y, and Z, and you do a physics problem setup, and then you just say, assume the cow is spherical. So physicists like to joke about spherical cows. In my case, I joke about drag-resistant cows, I guess. So there's going to be some wind force on there. I'm not sure how much it'll slow it down, but I still think you can probably get going at probably a 50-mile-an-hour cow going down.
It's probably still going to be going pretty fast.
Oh yeah.
But we're not quite done because that's on a dry day. The coefficient of friction changes when it rains.
Right.
So based on other material interactions, the difference of their friction between when they're wet and dry, we can cut the coefficient of friction by roughly half of between the cow and the grass. So now instead of 0.42 feet per second squared, the cow's going to accelerate at 5.7 feet per second squared. And instead of taking 3 minutes, it's going to be there in just about 50.9 seconds. And by the time it hits the ocean, it is going to be traveling 197 miles an hour. And fine, air friction is a legit thing, but it's going to be fast.
How big of a splash is that going to be?
Oh god, I didn't think to calculate how big the splash is. Now I want to.
If you put like a little ramp at the edge of the ocean, will it skip?
Oh, skipping cows. It's like tipping cows, but better.
I want to find this out. I'm making a note for myself. Will a cow rock skip? I'm just going to do this entirely for myself. I'll let you guys know how it goes.